the order of business as to what will happen first, second, third, etc. So this is a meeting of the Architecture Committee of the Oakland Mills Village Board. And the meeting is now coming to order. So let it be recorded that the meeting is starting right now, which is, according to me, 21 minutes to 7. The Architecture Committee is made up of all voting members of the Oakland Mills Village Board. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to appeal a decision made by the Residential Architecture Committee on November the 4th, 2021, and upheld by the Architecture Chair, that's me. As set forth in Article 7, Section 1 of the Oakland Mills Covenants, a resident may request that an application be reviewed by the entire Architecture Committee when an application is denied approval or receives any other adverse decision recommended during review by the Architecture Committee, the Resident Architecture Committee, and finalized by the Architecture Chairperson. Tonight, the decision of a majority of the members of this committee, so this is the committee, the Architecture Committee, the full board of the Oakland Mills Village Board, the decision of the majority in respect to this appeal shall be final and binding. So what we'll do, what the order of business is tonight is that Mike Vaughn, who's the covenant advisor for external alterations, will give a summary of what the application was for and what the appeal is for. He'll include the covenant sections and the architecture guidelines that were cited in the denial. After that, I will turn it over to the property owner, Mr. Feaster, who's here tonight, and he will state the reasons for his appeal request and provide for us any new information that he has, which he'd like the Architecture Committee to consider. After that, there will be 5 minutes for Architecture Committee, that's us, board members, to ask questions of the property owner pertaining to the application or the new information which we've received. Following that, we'll have another 5 minutes for residents who are attending to present any information that they have or to have any information that's been presented in writing to the Architecture Committee can be read. And I have one thing that I'll be reading, and there may be others. And there are a couple of residents here who may be speaking out. Then we have another 5 minutes for the Architecture Committee to discuss ourselves, and that's without any input from anyone else, just discuss with ourselves, following which I will call for a motion and a vote. And as we said, the decision tonight is final and binding, legally binding. So to begin, Mike, do you want to give an overview of the application that was submitted and the reason for it being denied?
I can do that. The application is application number 12872. Ola Feaster is the applicant, technically the applicant. Alizio is here to represent her, and the application reads just like this. They'd like to erect a 6-foot fence on the left side of the house. That's the application, and then we received a bunch of supporting information to clarify what they wanted to do. And let's see, there's a picture of the privacy fence.
And do you want me to put anything up?
If you want to, do you have the packet?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to, go ahead. I'm looking at it on my screen and reading directly from it. Everybody has a copy of this application as well, or should.
Yeah, everyone on the Architecture Committee does.
Mhm.
And it includes the description, it includes a photograph, it does not include a site plan, it includes a sketch.
A drawing, that's correct.
A drawing, and a sample of what the fence might look like.
Mhm.
And then, on the drawing, the location of the fence is sort of indicated, but since it's not a
Can you see it?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so there's that.
That's all right. There's the drawing.
So not a site plan.
Now, basically what he's wants to do is to extend the fence line along. There's currently a fence in the yard next door at the property line. He'd like to extend that out to the front lines of the house and come straight across at a 90-degree angle to the front of the house. It'll connect to the front of the porch area. Then there's pictures of the area that he'd like to do it in the next frame, which is where I'd like to go if I could, Sandy. That shows the fence that he'd like to extend, and it comes out to the end of the porch and it goes across. He sent a little bit better drawing that Sandy has, and it may be that we pull that up, but
Okay,
that's essentially where it is. It's coming straight down that fence line or that property line.
Yes,
And then straight across.
I'm looking for it.
Can you
Hold
use
on.
the cursor just to go across there and show where it goes?
Uh-oh, wait a second. What are you seeing now? This?
I'm seeing the photo that was in the original application.
Okay. Hold on one second. You're seeing the original one? I'm not even seeing that. I'm trying to find the other photo that he sent.
But it goes from the front corner of the house.
Here, let me pull this up now. Hold on. New share. How's that? Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the new piece. And that's basically looking from the backyard out. And he's marked the back portion of where the proposed pad, which is not part of the application, would be. But that gives you an idea of what he wants to do with the fence. The fence is going to extend forward on the lot. Yep, just where Sandy's cursor is. And it'll cut across at a 90-degree angle. So it'll have to involve a gate too. And that's something that we hadn't discussed, but we didn't need to get there for this. So the fence will come up straight up the property line and across to the back, the front end of the porch, which is the back end of the driveway. And then let's see, I'll go further with it. I've got another picture that shows the space and the fact that it's gravel at this point, not grass so much. And then
You want a different picture?
well, that picture suffices because you can see the gravel. But what we're focused on is the fence, and maybe if we've got one from the front, that'll give us a better view of what the fence facing is going to look like. And then
before you move off that, does the caption at the bottom mean anything? I can't make out what it says. Or is that not even useful information?
That's not what we're talking about right now. We're
Okay.
just talking about the fence.
Okay.
So the conclusion that the RAC came to was this: the fence, according to guideline 42.4, states that. Oops, I'm sorry, I got the wrong guideline there, but. Let me go to mine.
I know why it gets smaller.
Yeah, that I've tried to work out and I haven't yet been able to, but I'm going back to the denial letter, and I'll read it directly from there because that was, I think, the all right. it's guideline number 15.4, which is fencing should not extend forward of the rear lines of the house. On a corner lot, the fences should not extend past the sight line of the house on the street facing sides or the rear lines of the adjoining houses. So where it ran afoul was where the fence extended out to the front line of the house and went across. The decision of the RAC was based on the fact that there was no exception that they could come up with to allow that a waiving of 15.4. And the rationale behind the fence was to include to enclose automobiles that were being parked and sometimes worked on, and that was not deemed a reasonable enough exception for a bunch of reasons, 3 of which were 42.1, 2, and 4, which is again guidelines, and that is major repair of renovation of vehicles, including but not limited to automobiles, vans, SUVs, trucks, boats, trailers, and campers is prohibited on the property except in enclosed garages. And then 42.2 reiterates that the following shall not be parked or stored in the open, and that's boats, trailers, campers, recreational vehicles, inoperable vehicles, unregistered vehicles, commercial vehicles, or any vehicle larger than a standard parking space. And then 42.4 is no vehicle may be parked on the grass. So the exception that everyone was looking for didn't exist based on those 3 guidelines. And so the application was denied.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And so it's important to know, obviously, Mr. Feaster is requesting that the Architecture Committee reconsider this decision and approve the addition of the fence. And also that prior to tonight's meeting, all the members of the Architecture Committee have had access to these documents, has had an opportunity to review all of them and to visit the property. And so now turn this over to Mr. Feaster. And sir, if you'd like to speak to your request.
Your sound is not coming through.
Yeah, we do have a very bad connection.
Cannot hear you, Mr. Feaster.
I think he just logged off. He might be trying to log back on.
Oh, okay.
We can get a better connection.
There's a connection problem. He may want to try just dialing in for the audio part.
Yeah, just right.
But we need a number then, Amy, if you could find a number. Thanks.
No, it's still not working. If you could call in to the with your phone.
We're going to give you a number.
Do we not have the chat?
No, but that would be a lot for a chat. Oh, here's the number. Can you write it down?
So, okay. So it's 301-715-8592. And then the meeting ID is 814-5858-5965. And it should be on the agenda as well. You can see it on the agenda for the whole meeting.
Mike, is that something you could also email to Mr. Feaster? Because it looks like he's completely frozen now. We don't even know if he heard us.
I'm looking for, yeah, I see it. I have it and I'll forward it right now.
Good. Zach, Sam, you guys good? If you want a movie, you need to finish up. Daddy will be home soon.
Okay, that's sent. Yeah, so he should be getting it. Mr. Feaster, you should be getting an email that has that phone number. You can dial in directly. That way we can hear what you had to say.
I don't know what to do. Y'all hear me?
We're here. If you get an email with a telephone number on it, which you should get in just a few minutes, a few seconds, I mean, you might want to dial in because the sound is very difficult to discern what you're saying. Hard to understand. Hopefully you can hear me.
I can kind of going in and out. I'm trying to make sure there's nothing on my Wi-Fi, and I only have 4 devices connected, so we should be.
It's a little
we
better
should
now.
Be strong on that point, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
We can hear you now.
Yep.
You want to start talking?
Wonder if he can hear us.
Yeah, I'll start. Okay. Hopefully you can all on it, but I'll speak. I had to hit some picture.
Mr. Feaster, it would be better if you called in on your phone.
Not hearing you now.
And it's full name is
No.
the zoning of Maryland, and she said events
We are not hearing you.
from tree. So will be set.
Yeah, Mr. Feaster, we're getting like half of every other word and some strange noises. The phone is probably your best bet.
Words are we more that we actually air saying that we add first, then put the there at top saying, and then add on top.
Yep. We cannot understand you, Mr. Feaster.
It was nothing before into the dream.
Your voice is breaking up. We can't hear you.
I know him speak. Other people was the shit that I took her out. As far as tomorrow from
Okay, I think we may have to table this and the meeting.
Yeah.
Because we're coming up, we had allowed a half an hour for this hearing.
Properly in the road.
And it's now 7 o'clock.
Because I'm a business owner, so that's like my 401k.
We heard that
Business.
part, the last sentence, that's
But
it.
you're a business
Yeah,
owner
y'all
and it's your
all going in
401k,
and
but
out.
that's
It's
not going to help us
meeting.
this hearing.
My internet, your internet, I don't know what's going on.
I don't think he can hear us clearly to know that we're
No.
trying to tell him we can't hear him.
No,
Mike, if you want to, ultimately, we'll be sending him an email.
yes.
I sent him an
Lynn-
email just now saying we can't hear you. And
Lynn,
I
can
don't
I,
know.
Lynn, can I just, I don't even know. Can I motion that we table this and reschedule?
Yes, thank you.
All right,
And,
I'm going to motion that we table the application appeal due to technical difficulties and work with Mr. Feaster on rescheduling.
okay, can I have a second for that? Board members? Okay, Bill has seconded it, as has Rebecca. Okay, all in favor? Okay, 1, 2, 3, and me, 4. Okay, that passes, so we will table it. And I apologize to the people who have phoned in or joined this meeting in order to make their comments. So it really isn't because of the order of business. We really can't have you make your comments before Mr. Feaster has the chance to present his case. So I apologize for that. This is an unavoidable situation, and we'll be sure to let you know when the hearing is rescheduled. If in the meantime you would like to submit a written statement, that written statement will be sent to all of the board members. If you submit it to Mike Vaughn, and you can copy me, and we'll be sure that it gets to all of the board members prior to the next the next session where we are able to reschedule this hearing. So thank you all very much for attending, and I am adjourning tonight's meeting.
Can I ask a question before you adjourn?
Sure.
Would it be possible, given that there are technical difficulties on Mr. Feaster's part, to have him come into the Oakland Mills office and maybe with Amy or someone participate from there, from your computer, you know, if the facility is the problem? Is there some way we could accommodate him?
Mike, could you work it out?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Some of us are on strict COVID restrictions, but I think Mike can actually work it out with him.
Okay, thank you for that suggestion, Kay. That's a good one.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. And the meeting is now adjourned officially.
Good night.
Thanks, folks. I'll call Mr. Feaster and let him know what happened, and then suggest that we get together at the other barn to do the next meeting.
Mm.
And we are going to open the general village board meeting. We're opening the meeting a few minutes beyond the scheduled start time to accommodate an architecture appeal that had some technical difficulties. So we're opening at 7:07. We do have a quorum present. So our first order of business will be to approve the minutes from the November 23rd, 2021 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion from Ginny. There's a second from Warren. Is there discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 600, Amy. Okay, next is we need a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion from Ginny, another second from Warren. Any discussion of tonight's agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 again. Okay, we are underway. First up, we do have resident remarks. Anyone wishing to make remarks as a resident has 3 minutes to speak to the board. If you would like to make remarks, please use the hand raise feature in Zoom or turn on your video and wave at me, and I'll call you in the order your hand went up. Looks like we only have 2 people out there. So I think we get to move on from resident remarks. Well, we're cruising right through. We're already caught up.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, Safa, did you have something or are you just turning on your video to join us?
No, just turning on the video to join you.
Okay.
The only thing that I just did want to mention is that Toys for Tots is happening this weekend on Saturday. If you guys do want to volunteer, I can send the link to volunteer. That's it.
Thank you.
Please do. Thank you. Okay, next up, we really didn't have any new business, old business to talk about. We basically have our report, so it's kind of a light agenda before the holidays. So board chair report. Actually, I do have a couple of things, one of which is sort of late breaking and didn't make the publication of the agenda. So for the one that is, I know at the last meeting, there was a discussion of the electric scooters on the multi-use path, which is, they're pretty much restricted to the west side of 29 now. And I know there was some interest among board members about, why not the east side, since the multi-use path also comes through Oakland Mills. Could that be possible? Et cetera. So Sandy and I did reach out to, was it Jessica?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to see whether, use on this side of the multi-use path would be allowed. And it sounds like it could be allowed, basically under the rights that CA has. It would be a decision of the president and possibly the CA board in order to allow that. So it's a possibility. So, one of the things I wanted to bring back to you, obviously, this isn't really a decisive action that the Oakland Mills board can take. So I don't know that this is something we need to vote on or anything like that. But if we are interested in inquiring, as to whether CA would consider expanding the use of electronic scooters across the bridge and over to our side of Oakland Mills, Sandy or I could certainly send a note to the CA president and to the CA board, asking them for that consideration as they deliberate the e-scooter program. So I did want to report that back because I know we did have some discussion around, the whys and the hows last time. And it's, like I said, it's really not our decision to make, but it certainly is our opportunity to say, hey, give it some thought, CA, it's your decision to make. Any thoughts on that?
Well, as I said before, at the last meeting, I think it's a great idea. I think it would really help the village if we had that open, and also Blandair, and I think it would get a lot of use.
Okay.
I think that's the whole point of the multi-use path that they built there, so that we fluidly move from our village to downtown. Seems to fit.
I agree. Yeah. Okay.
And don't
All
forget,
right.
it's lit. It's lit. It's one of the few paths that is.
I look at it. Well, it is, right? By definition, it is the same thing they have on the west side. It's one multi-use path. It just happens to cross a US highway. But, the path itself is the same thing, whether you're west or east.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Let's see, other items in my
Jenny
report.
has her hand up, Jonathan.
Oh, sorry, Jenny, go ahead.
Just one question, so we don't have any problems. Does this have to be put on the agenda to allow residents, if they want to have any say, or you just feel comfortable? This is a Lynn Engelke question.
I think it's just a recommendation that we be able to, that they've asked for what should the path be used for, what about these scooters? And I think that the board can say, yes, we welcome the use of the scooters. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption is it'll have to be a decision of the CA board, which means, that that's actually where residents should give their input about whether this is something they want. We just want CA to give it consideration because apparently it didn't have that consideration before.
Okay, I just, we had a problem with the Orchard Green where they came back at us because, so I just don't want to, okay.
Who came back? No.
CA, saying the community there should be a hearing, et cetera. So I just don't, I see your point.
I think
Okay.
that was a new path. This is an existing path, like other paths elsewhere in Columbia, and ours is unique in that we aren't being considered to have scooters. So we're being made the exception.
Okay,
Not asking for something special.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just to make sure, I guess, Ginny, one follow-up question I have is, I suppose right now that the e-scooters would be permitted on sections of the path that pass through Town Center, Wild Lake, and maybe Hickory Ridge. Is that correct?
I don't think so, but I'd have to
No.
check it. It's been so long. It's
Well,
very.
I mean, it definitely is passing
think
through a couple
Hickory
of
Ridge.
villages.
I
It's definitely,
don't think
but-
Hickory is, but let me, we can get the exact area, and it's a pilot. It will end, and then it'll be looked at again as to how to expand it.
yeah, well, I guess the question I have is, for whatever villages this is, where this pilot will run, did CA require that those villages, have any kind of formal resident input at their village board meetings, or did CA just determine this is where we're going to run the pilot? I assume that CA just determined this is where we're going to run the pilot, and we're saying just extend it to the whole multi-use path, since it's one path.
Yeah, you're right. There were a lot of hearings on it, but it was at CA, and Town Center certainly is covered. Because the idea was downtown. So that certainly is covered, but Hickory Ridge and Wild Lake, I would want to check that again. My gut feeling is no, but I don't want to commit to that without.
Yeah, I just don't know the village boundaries over there well enough to know what it passes through. But if it's certainly in Town Center, and if Town Center's board didn't have to hold anything for resident input, it was at the CA level, then I think it would be the same for Oakland Mills weighing in.
Okay. I just want to make sure we don't have any concerns with residents or anything. Okay.
All right. Other remarks. This is something that is kind of fast developing, and I want to run this by the board to make sure you're comfortable with me basically sending something off and using my title. As you may have heard, or maybe may not have heard, there's been a very sharp increase of positive COVID cases throughout the school system, and specifically at Oakland Mills High. I mean, that's one of the schools that has been very hard hit. And there's a lot of frustration out there because these emails are coming in daily now, saying there are 9 cases, there are 10 cases. Last night, we got one that said there's 19 cases. And the local administrators at all these schools are simply allowed to take a form letter, put the number of cases in an email, send it off. And everything else is up to the school system central office and the health department. So, there's very little information getting out to families other than the number of cases, and obviously concerns are growing. There's also a disconnect because the school system maintains a positive case dashboard, and the dashboard does not agree with the emails that are going out at really any of these schools. I mean, I've been looking at the Oakland Mills schools, but I've talked to people in other clusters, and the whole thing is a mess. And a lot of people are saying, well, is somebody going to step in here and tell us what's going on? How many cases constitutes an outbreak, what it might take to close down a building or change the configuration or something, so that this stops spreading. And there's also some concern out there that they're sort of waiting it out and hoping for the best and hoping that, winter break will make the decision for them, because then everyone goes home for 10 days. So, with all that said, I would like to send something, as the board chair, as more than a concerned parent, to both the Board of Education and school system leadership, as well as the health department, saying, hey, we're, communities all over the place, including Oakland Mills, are getting all these numbers. Everyone's checking the dashboard versus the emails we're getting. None of the numbers agree. And there's no further, information forthcoming. We would like a better understanding of what's happening, what thresholds have to hit before the health department and the school system take some kind of action, and what's going to be done to slow this down or prevent this when everyone returns from winter break. Because there does seem to be a correlation between Thanksgiving and all these numbers shooting up, and now we're going to have winter break where everyone gets together and has parties and stuff like that. And then everyone's going to come back in January, to buildings where the numbers were already high going into winter break. So like I said, there wasn't time to get this on the agenda because all these emails really started flowing in like last Thursday, Friday, through the weekend, last night, and they just continue, night after night. And like I said, at first it looked like it was Oakland Mills High and maybe one other high school. Now that we're into this week, it's in a lot of places, and they've just canceled all athletic events and concerts throughout the school system, through winter break. But everyone is still going into school and getting these emails and being told you don't have to do anything if you don't get contacted to go get tested. Meanwhile, the numbers continue to increase. So I wanted to get your feelings on that. Otherwise, I'll just reach out as me. But we have gotten better responses in the past when we reach out and say we're reaching out on behalf of the community.
So Jonathan,
Yes.
could you go over again what you are reaching out is going to consist of? I'm sorry, I got all part of the concern, but not what.
It'll consist of a few things. One is why are the email communications from the schools stating number of new cases not in any form of alignment with what's on that dashboard that they tell everyone to look at? What are the sources of the data, and what is it we're supposed to believe, and how are you going to make these two things reconcile? So that's one. Two, what constitutes an outbreak in a classroom, in a building, in a cluster, and what's the response when an outbreak happens? For example, should we have on-site testing? Because right now they're just telling everyone, go off and get tested if you get caught. They're not providing that testing at the school. So there are lines wrapping around Meriwether, there are lines at private testing locations, as more of this builds. So that's two. Like if you feel you're having an outbreak, what is the plan for dealing with the outbreak? What steps are we going to take? Because canceling concerts and athletics, yeah, okay, fine. They're not having after school activities, but they're all in the building together still for 8 hours during, regular classroom time. And then, the third question is, if we do have an outbreak, what are the thresholds we have to hit before they actually consider closing things down for a while, or taking some other actions to get these kids spread farther apart? Because they are required to be masked in school. They don't have social distancing requirements because at the beginning of the year the school system decided that wasn't practical or necessary. But now that they're getting 12, 13, 14, 15, 19 cases a day at some of these schools, it seems like something different has to happen. But there's been absolutely nothing but emails saying, we have more cases, we share your concerns, there's nothing more you need to do. Ginny?
Yeah, thank you.
Ginny, you're muted.
Try to lower my hand and unmute at the same time. Doesn't work. I don't understand in terms of, is the dashboard number higher? I have two questions. The dashboard number higher than the emails or the reverse? And the other is with the masks, if everybody's being required to wear them, are they enforcing it if people aren't, or if they wear it, like around their neck or under their nose or things like that?
So neither of those is an easy question to answer. The first question, I don't know, because I don't have access to all the schools and their emails. You can look on the dashboard at any school. I know in the case of Oakland Mills High School, the dashboard and the emails are not lining up in any way I can figure out. The dashboard gets updated at 4 p.m. every day. Last night, Oakland Mills High sent an email at 9 o'clock saying there were 19 cases. When the dashboard updated today, it said 1. So, that's how far off it can be at times. Now, there could be other schools where they're going, oh my gosh, why does the dashboard say it's much higher than what we're getting in the email? But at least in the case of Oakland Mills, the dashboard seems to be lower than what the emails are saying.
Lower, that's the understatement. 1
Yeah.
versus 19. And what about the mask? Is there enforcement?
So the mask, I'll answer. I guess I'll answer that question with a question. Imagine trying to enforce masks on 1,400 teenagers at once every day. I think they're doing the best they can, but you have 1,400 unique individuals in a building, roaming around from class to class, lunch, hallways, everything. Is there 100% mask compliance? I'm sure the answer is absolutely not, but I'm also sure they're doing the best they can.
Okay.
Hey, Jonathan, I'd really like to see any kind of letter you know, I'm all for supporting you in these concerns with the school, but I recognize that this is a pretty, people fall very differently on this issue, and I wouldn't feel right giving you a blank slate to speak for everybody on it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I guess I'd want to see how it's worded.
No, I'll send a draft after the meeting tonight. But really, it's not going to be a series of recommendations. It's really going to be questions. You know, can you answer these questions?
Yeah, Jonathan, I agree with you because I was over at the high school last Tuesday for their winter concert. So I was looking around, and like you said, all the children are not wearing their masks properly. So I agree and have a concern too as a grandmother of a student over there. So and as a board member, I support it, and I would like to see the letter because there's a great concern, and I'm hearing different residents when they come in the office of numbers that are higher than one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have all the emails from the high school, and there are double, you know, there are daily numbers that have hit the double digits multiple times now. But yeah, I wouldn't just fire something off. I would send a draft, but like I said, I'm not. My thought is not to tell them what we think they should do. My thought is to ask them. You know, I have basically there's a collection of questions out there that people in the community have been asking, and basically everyone is going, I don't know. And you know, I even just as a parent, I called the principal at the high school yesterday and asked him a few questions. And the problem is the principals don't know either, because all of this is determined by the central office and the health department. They just carry out what they're told, you know, right down to what it can say in the email that they send.
Yeah,
So
Jonathan.
they're really unfortunately on the front lines because they have to put their signature on the bottom of an email that they don't really write.
Jonathan, would you know if any of the students have been hospitalized or how serious it is? Or-
That's all.
No, they don't
private.
share any. No, they don't. All they will share is the number of positive cases in a day. They have contracted for contact tracers, but they can't even, you know, share what the tracers have determined might be the source of the outbreak, because that's sort of where the you know, the public health and the personal medical privacy come into conflict, because when you start sharing that information, then you can suddenly start identifying individual students, and they can't do that.
Jonathan, does it work the same way as at the elementary school? I know our friend's daughter, they didn't tell her like who in their class, you know, tested positive, just someone in their classroom, which seems, I understand the privacy reason, but if it's like your best friend that you've been hanging out with and talking to all day, every day, or the kid who sits in the back of the room that you barely see, you know, there's a big difference. Seems like that might be useful.
They don't. They somehow figure out, I mean, even within one classroom, they don't necessarily consider everyone in that classroom a close contact. They figure out who, you know, they think the close contacts are based on their definitions, and probably what, you know, what people, who people have said that positive case has been around, and that's who they notify. I guess you've seen the emails, right? I mean, they really, basically what the email, actually, I can bring one up just to show you what they look like. They're almost, it's almost one of those situations where I wish they would just say nothing at all than say what they're saying, because it really leaves you feeling completely helpless. Like, why do I need to know this if you're telling me there's nothing more you can tell me and nothing I can do? But I have one here. Hang on. So this is the one from last night. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not sharing, am I?
Not yet.
I'm trying. You see that now?
Yeah, we will.
So it's basically 19 people, can't tell you anything about them, can't even tell you whether they're students or teachers. If you were a close contact, you've been contacted. If not, That's all. We're just letting you know.
Well, You know,
And,
you can
we,
kind of guess who the kids are when you know, by the way, there's X number of kids that haven't shown up for 10 days, you know?
yeah.
Um,
And, these have been going out throughout the year. Usually they trickle in here and there, and it's usually one case. And, most people haven't been getting overly concerned. But like I said, this is because, like at the high school, this has become almost the nightly watch. When's the email going to come in and how high is the number going to be? So this is just an example of last night's. But like I said, all through last week, they were coming in, multiple cases on each email.
Are they saying whether it doesn't look like it, whether it's Delta or no, doesn't look like they're,
No.
no.
No, this is it. And this is an example of one of the questions I'd like to ask, right? A state-defined outbreak does not automatically necessitate closure of a classroom or school. The Howard County Health Department monitors positive cases and will notify HCPSS if a school or classroom closure is warranted. One of the question is, well, are there some kind of thresholds established that haven't been published, or are we, kind of winging this and waiting to see what happens? I wouldn't say this in a letter, but like a lot of people are out there are saying, we're a week out from winter break. Why don't they just close things down now? Before winter break ends, require everyone come back with a negative test so we can start the second semester knowing that, for the most part, the kids we have in the building are probably coming in with a negative test, but we don't know. We don't know a thing. There's like there's no communication coming out of the health department or central office other than, oh yeah, we're going to cancel some athletic events for the next week.
So Jonathan, I just looked at the dashboard, and for Oakland Mills High School, it said yesterday there were 10 cases and today 1.
Right.
And so there's no 19 listed
Right.
anywhere.
And the
Okay.
dashboard updates at 4 p.m. every day. So this email came out at 9. So I figured, okay, so yesterday's dashboard isn't going to reflect the 19, but today's will, because they got the 19 after the 4 p.m. update of the dashboard. So when I checked the dashboard after 4 p.m. today, I was very surprised to see only 1.
Well, I guess they were miraculously healed. It's
Yes.
it's the healing waters of Oakland Mills, I think.
Yes. And, again, without violating privacy, revealing any cases, the other thing I've noticed on the dashboard is, at least for Oakland Mills, they do not have the indicators that any of these cases are among athletes, because athletes have different requirements than other students. Athletes can unmask during athletic events, and there are some other things. I know, because I know, without going into detail, that there are certainly people in athletics who have positive cases. There are large chunks of certain teams missing from school right now. So the dashboard's not even right on that, which is leading to other speculation. There's a lot of speculation out there that says, oh, the WBAL concert from a week and a half ago caused this. No. So, there's just a lot of misinformation out there. And I think if they could just answer questions about why the information is inconsistent. Because sometimes there's good reason why information looks inconsistent, and if you have the explanation, you can go, oh, okay, I understand that now. But there's not. Everyone is basically doing their own research and guessing, and then basically hypothesizing on social media what's going on and hoping someone will tell them what's happening. But yeah, I can't for the life of me figure out how to get the dashboard and these emails to reconcile. I mean, I've even tried like adding up all the cases in the email over a week and then adding up the dashboard for a week to see if, in the aggregate, the numbers will work, and they don't.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Well, there's a good way to make people feel confident about what's going on, right?
Yeah, and that's the problem we're facing. I mean, that's what, basically that's what I'm hearing from people. What's going on? Is anyone going to step up and be a leader here and tell us what's going on? And it's really, it's up to the superintendent and the health department to be those leaders, but we're not hearing anything. And, at first there was a lot of concern that it was just the Oakland Mills community. Why isn't anyone paying attention to the Oakland Mills community? Well, now it's everywhere, but especially now that it's everywhere, you would think, something would happen, but nothing seems to be happening.
Wow.
So like I said, I can draft something up, for your consideration. It would be pretty simple. It would basically be, can you please, explain the source of data between the school emails and the dashboard, and how to reconcile the two so that people can get, the most up-to-date information. Each email, even when it has large numbers of positive cases, basically says that if you haven't been contacted, it's business as usual. But at what point do we hit, a place where there isn't business as usual, because people are getting concerned? I mean, there are people talking about just pulling their kids out of school for the last week of the semester because they're not trusting that when you have 12, 19, 12, 20 cases a day, that it really isn't a big deal.
Well, I personally don't see where there's any kind of anything controversial about asking for accurate information, but I'm fine with whatever everybody wants to do.
Like I said, I already have it in my head. If I had time, I would have drafted something before the meeting, but work's been crazy on top of all this, so I can draft it up after the meeting because we have a relatively light agenda tonight, so I'll have time right after this.
Jonathan, who would you write the letter to?
I would send it to the superintendent, the area superintendent, the Board of Education, and then the health department.
Okay. Well,
because
I think
the other
we
thing
all.
is, it's not even clear who populates what numbers. Like the principal of the school could tell me where he gets the numbers for those emails that he has to type into that form letter. When I asked him where the dashboard numbers come from, his answer was, I don't have a clue. I don't know where those come from. I don't know why they don't match. We have nothing to do with the dashboard. So, the school's responsible for putting out a number, but the school is not responsible for updating its page on the dashboard. Someone else is doing that based on some other data that isn't very transparent. But it does, even if, things maybe settle down a bit and we get through this last week of the semester, it does seem like these are the kinds of questions that need to be raised more officially, because they need to have a plan for when everyone comes back from winter break. Right now, as far as anyone knows, there is no plan for an outbreak like this, right? They can't just throw all the kids in the digital academy because they don't have enough teachers in the digital academy to accommodate this. So it's very unclear what would happen if these numbers keep going up, because at some point, you're going to have a large chunk of the school out. You're right now, if these numbers are adding up correctly, you're starting to approach 5% of Oakland Mills High School alone, who are not close contacts, but actual positive cases in quarantine. So these kids aren't learning right now. They're not getting live instruction right now beyond some office hours at the end of the day.
Well, and the thing that really heightens anxiety is not knowing what the plan is. It's not,
right.
Once you have a plan, you can kind of go from there.
Right.
Or once you know that there's a plan.
Do they have a loose attendance policy right now?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The attendance policy, would you say they have a loose attendance policy right now?
I think the standard attendance policy from pre-COVID is back into effect, where they're like something like 3 unexcused absences allowed per year, so something like that. But it's back to, I mean, if you're quarantined, obviously that's an exception. But if you're just on the recipient list for this email and you're not comfortable going to school, then you're on an unexcused absence. Obviously, if you're on the list or you're a close contact who needs to get tested, you're on an excused absence because you're not allowed back until certain conditions are met. But that's the other challenge. You now have people, weighing whether they want to continue sending their kids into school and having them potentially bring something back to an at-risk relative, something like that, or have to deal with unexcused absences and the ability to continue learning since there's no virtual option to turn to. So yeah, that's what's been flying around. And like I said, this really just, it flared up in the past few days, which, also happens to be a couple of weeks out from the Thanksgiving break. So we're sort of seeing the kind of the waves we've seen nationwide in the past, but, now for whatever reason, it's really hitting in the schools. And part of that is probably just because last year at this time, there was no one in the buildings, and now, almost everyone's back in the buildings. So it's, probably shouldn't be a great surprise that it's happening, but it's either taking the school and health department leadership by surprise, or it's what they expected and they're not sharing what the next steps are. But either way, everyone is sort of left wondering right now and saying, who's going to step up and answer questions. And I know some individuals who have put in calls to the health department and other places, and they're not really getting much. So that's the latest fun there. I'm done. If we could have just made it one more week, they all would have been on winter break. I said to someone today that they should just close it down now, pretend that a blizzard hit, and ask for a waiver on the 5 days at the end of the year, or extend the year, into the spring when more people can just be outside and do learning outside and eat lunch outside and everything.
It is a blizzard. It's a COVID blizzard.
Yeah. It's just a blizzard of a different kind. But if you think about it, if a blizzard hit on a Sunday, they would be out for 5 days. They wouldn't be. I can't recall a blizzard here where the school system didn't shut down for a week. So, you got a half day tomorrow. You got full days Thursday and Friday, and then you basically have what's usually a throwaway week, because you have the half week before winter break where they basically watch videos and exchange presents or something in school. Anyway, that's just my commentary. That's not official for the record. That's just my commentary on, what I think happens in the days before winter break.
We're going to publish that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, make sure you get that word for word in the minutes, Amy.
Right.
Kids do nothing in schools before winter break but watch videos and exchange presents.
As chair of the Oakland Mills Board.
All right, Ginny, unless there are questions for me, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, my sympathies though, because anyone that has a child in the school system has got to be extremely anxious and stressed and worried, and it's not a good time, really. So thanks for trying to see what you can do about at least getting some factual information for everybody. Okay, just a couple of quick things. In terms of the CA budget, there was another vote on whether to increase the annual charge. If I hear that, it just keeps going on. This time the vote was 5-4. It gets defeated, but it gets defeated so close that I think some people just keep bringing it back. So I don't know what to say. It's supposed to be a dead issue again, but it was a dead issue about a month or so ago. Let's see. The board asked the staff to look at adding $1 million more into the capital budget, specifically category 3, which is periodic maintenance and our upgrades to our facilities. There are some of us that are concerned that the $8 million budget may mean that we're going to have issues with not being able to keep some facilities in repair. Also, you want to be competitive. We've got a lot of competition I mean, just take a look at the buildings. I went on a tour of the Juniper. I don't know how many of you been over there and taken a look at it, but wow, they've got a great new gym. They've got an outdoor pool, outdoor grill, a little community room with a piano, and I mean, it's just phenomenal. And they're located, you know, right near the Colorburst Park the ice rink there. Really, you could consider it a great location. And even though the rents, from what I'm hearing, are higher than Howard Hughes had projected, they're actually getting more money. And they're not getting a huge apartment, but apparently all of those amenities really making a big difference where people are saying, hey, that's where I want to live. So they're not going to sign up for any CA facility. The only one that was different from everything else that's being offered, it was the Haven. But other than that, all that other stuff, you get it. Why would you possibly join a club, you know, the athletic club over there or anything? So we have to make sure we are competitive to the extent we can be in terms of keeping our facilities up. So that's why some of us want to look at a higher capital budget than what was projected or proposed by the staff. Let's see, a third issue that's really important to me. I'm a little frustrated that Howard Hughes is going to be doing and is doing a tremendous amount of development downtown. My frustration is CA really needs to be looking at CA's land downtown and at the lakefront. And what are we thinking about or planning about, or making sure the residents are involved in a process that would say how this land should be developed. And I'm not satisfied that's been happening. I'm also not satisfied, we got disagreement on the board, that we really have adequately presented to the board and to the public what is CA land, what is HRD land, what is county land, what is other private sector land. We're going to be asked for an easement from the new, and forgive me if I don't remember the name, it was the Sheridan, it's now Merriweather Lake Hotel or something like that. You know, that's been expanded down there, and they were going to ask for an easement across CA property to make it easier for people in the hotel to be able to get to the lake. They've withdrawn that temporarily, or they've said they're not going to pursue it right now because of all the problems they've been having with the, you know, other issues that have been getting a lot of publicity. But we need to know, where does somebody else's property and where is our CA property? And you need to see that. It needs to be mapped. It needs to be on our website. You need to be able to just go look at it. And then some of the money that we voted to say, let's look at funding some of the 1 million that would be used for capital for looking at actually, sorry about the phone, looking at mapping this and making this available to people, and, you know, working from that as to what plans we would have for some of this area. Where is the open space, for example, next to Clyde's that you have always seen Clyde's using? Is that the best use, et cetera? So that's basically something I feel strongly about. There are some board members that don't. They feel there's no need to really be doing this. CA knows what's where their open space is. I respectfully don't agree. There are other board members that feel definitely CA doesn't know, and there were mistakes in the past because of that. I'm not sure I want to go that far. I'm just saying, let's be realistic and let's just make sure everybody knows. And then let's start a process. And I think the whole board is in agreement with this. Let's start a process where we begin to look at what's the best way to utilize CA's land down there, with the community being involved in that process.
So Jenny, a quick question. What, you said that that there's disagreement among board members, why would they not want to make it public to everyone who lives in Columbia, what is CA land and what is, what's the issue? Isn't it kind of our right to know?
Well, when I tried a couple of weeks ago, and you can see this on video, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, I guess, but I was trying to set the groundwork, not at the last meeting, December 9th, but the one before that, just saying, hey, we need to look at, really look at where our land is, where somebody else's land is, et cetera. And one of the board members said, I don't see that as a problem. CA isn't mowing my lawn, so I guess they know where their open space is. Okay.
They may know, but we don't. I mean, that's the problem.
Lynn, I mean,
Okay.
I don't think I should say anymore. And I haven't mowed my lawn either, but anyway, so, yes, I obviously agree with you. This is, again, a big undertaking, and we really have to have the whole community involved, but you need a starting point. You need to know when you're talking about this parcel, whose land is it you're talking about? And let's not waste any time if it's not ours. And how do you look at what Howard Hughes, sorry, I keep saying HRD. Howard Hughes is planning like these little pocket parks. So if they're doing X, what would we be doing? So you work together with the developers and with the public, just to make sure there's something that's a good plan for the public down at the lakefront. It's very, in my opinion, very valuable property. If you mess it up, it's going to stay messed up for a long time. And you can be extremely creative about what you maybe even look at putting out a little bit more on the lake. I mean, there's just a lot of things you could be looking at in terms of more entertainment during the spring and summer, all of that, as to how you could be very creative down there. I think it could be exciting. So I'm pleased that we got a sort of a consensus that maybe some of that money should be used to start this. Now, we have to wait till the staff comes back, and you'll all see their budget January, I think it's the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's January 21st that the budget will be coming out, and we can all, you can all look at it, and not only look at it, have comments about it. We'll have, resident input, public hearings, et cetera. But I don't know if that makes it any clearer for you, Lynn.
Well, it does give me a picture of what's going on.
Well, that was just one response, but I obviously I can't answer that. I mean, it's.
Well, I find it very frustrating when I'm down in like at Whole Foods or what is around the lake, that just how kind of barren it is. Very frustrating.
Yeah, and there are people in the know that pay attention to this all the time and know what's going to be right next to Whole Foods, but not everybody does. So I just want CA to take a role in making it clear what's our land, what's on it, and also what else is down there, so that they know. No, that's not a condo that a lot of people still think will be. It's going to be a medical building. Why? And just sharing and getting the whole
and
thing.
A parking garage. Don't forget the parking garage, the lakefront parking garage.
Yep. So, I mean, it's just, I'm not saying we work in isolated. We got to be looking at what the developers are doing. And then, do you want us to do certain things in terms of easements? Easements, I got a big thing about easements. You don't approve them. They're always done in a public process now. They were not in the past. CA staff would only do it. It's now a public process, and we've got to really pay attention to any easements down there, or we won't mention the other site downtown, okay, as well. So I just feel strongly about that, and that to me will be a big issue, and let's get that moving. I think that's enough, I guess. Any other concerns? Rebecca?
Bill had his hand up first.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yes,
Sorry, I'm not getting a pic. I should let Jonathan call people because I don't see everybody. Okay.
okay, just real
Sorry,
quick.
Bill, and then Rebecca.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm gonna.
Real quick, I agree with Ginny's points. It's very important to know where your land is, CA's land is, what easements are on the land. All easements should be recorded on the deeds, according to legal counsel I've talked with, because I co-own land in Ellicott City. And they're on the data.howardcountymd.gov. The property line option in there doesn't give you the exact property line. It's got a disclaimer that it's within 2 or 3 feet. And I've used it, and it's very accurate down to 2 or 3 feet. Also in that database, you can go, if you know where and how, and dig in there and get some plat map information, et cetera, about properties. And for example, on my property, where the steep slopes are, because you can't build on steep slopes, et cetera. It would take CA to make, number one, make a decision to get all of that information and make it accurate, put it in a binder, electronic binder, put it online, and that would need to be done, in my opinion. And if CA is coming up with any land agreements and not putting them on a deed in terms of an easement, and therefore deeds are all public property, public information, they run the risk of not being able to enforce the easements, et cetera, according to legal counsel. So that if CA is making side deals and not codifying that easement on the deed to the property, they run the risk of having the agreement not adhered to and other parties in the agreement running roughshod over CA property. So I agree 100% that CA needs to get its house in order in terms of what do we own, where do we own it, what easements are on it, what conditions are on it, what can we build on, what can't we build on, what's wetlands, what's steep slope, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm with you 100%, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca?
I just wanted to comment on the first thing that you talked about the gyms and stuff. Pouring money into the facilities. I just want to caution you about trying to compete with the brand new condo building as far as facilities, because CA property has a lot of different kinds of residents and is not a brand new state-of-the-art condo facility. So I would say we don't all want our gyms to be expensive and fancy with the newest equipment. And if we did want that, then there are those facilities out there. And really, CA is more for the general public who just want something, if that makes sense. I mean, in good a good place, but doesn't have to be the most top of the line place like the new condo is. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, the point that there's good points, and I'm not it's a tightrope. It's a fine line how you get that balance where somebody's not going to come in and say, oh, yuck, and go someplace else. Because you do have Planet Fitness, which are pretty cheap, and you just got them popping up all over the place. But in the condos downtown, my point was basically, in my opinion, it would be foolish to open a gym downtown. It would be, it's just, you can't compete because all the apartments going up have a gym. They have, pools, cookouts, community rooms, all of that. So that's really, you just don't even want to spend money. You'd be wasting money. And I don't know how you get somebody that comes home, parks in a garage, goes into their apartment, and then they're going to get back in their car to drive to a gym, even if it's a couple of blocks away downtown. No, it's just not going to happen. So you never do a gym downtown, I think. But we do have to keep the other gyms up. But I understand what you're saying is be reasonable about it, but you also want to make them look attractive so that people come. And I think we're up to 60% return in a membership to our gyms. So we've still got a ways to go to our facility. And some facilities like the Arts Center we're putting some work into improving that, and that will never be a money producer, a revenue producer. So there are some things that will, unless CA residents say, we don't need that, let somebody else do it, there'll be things that will be more subsidized than others. Yeah.
Yeah, just CA is a community organization, not a gym company.
Yeah, no, open space is it $16 million? I have to check what the current thing is per year of the assessment for just open space, and produces no revenue, and lots of people use it. Of course, a lot of people from outside Columbia or non-lien payers also use it, which is some of the frustration when we've got to do the dredging and repairing and everything, and the county is doing it on their, the other lakes that we're also paying for. But you've heard that speech from me before. So yeah, no, it's how do you get that balance to try and meet as many needs as possible in a reasonable way and economically feasible. Any other questions?
Lynn has her.
Yeah, I've got a couple. One is that I agree with you, Rebecca. That was a good point. And I also just caution you, they aren't condos, they're rental units. So there's a lot of turnover there. And I think most of the new buildings downtown are rental. And I actually find that a little bit alarming that they're all rental and not condos, because there's a certain degree of investment in the community that goes along with ownership. But that being said, to my knowledge, that if there's a gym in your building, that is only open to the people in that building. And there are a lot of people who live in the downtown area of Columbia who are not living in those apartments. They're living, you've got all of those other communities where people are living in townhouses and houses. So I really don't see one of our facilities being in direct competition with a few workout machines in the basement of an apartment building. So and I know they're nice and they're new, but it's not the same thing at all as the community centers. Our athletic centers are community centers as well as athletic centers. So that's one thing. And then just so it's just just something to bear in mind. And the other thing is, you brought up about the dredging of the lakes. And I was wondering if the dredging of the lakes and how CA is responsible for this. I was wondering if you had any more information. I know you sent the letter of support, you forwarded to us the letter of support that the Owen Brown board sent to everyone. I'm wondering, I spoke, John McCoy was doing some work in the open space behind our house, and he's very willing to come and give us a presentation of what's going on with that. And have you heard anything more about it? Because CA's not on their own with that. That has state money coming into it, and all kinds of resources are being poured into that. And I'm very curious about it.
Right. I sent you, two things. One, I'm waiting to hear from Lakey whether she, that's how we do things. She wants to make sure that everything goes through her, so that she would have a presentation to the Oakland Mills Village Board. So I asked for that. The second thing is, I sent you I'm trying to share everything. I sent you a letter on that, but now what I got is a petition drive against it. So I'll send that to you that I received from somebody. So you get sort of whatever I'm getting or hear about from residents, and then you can balance it. I'm trying to think if CA board also got an email. We've been getting a lot of emails on a couple of topics. I'm trying to think if we got one about this. I think we did. I'd have to look through all the board emails where they send a concern to the board about this, that person's opposed. And I've been trying to send you guys what I've been getting.
Yeah, I know that some of the people who are around Jackson Pond are concerned about it, but the
That's
bigger
where it
concern,
starts.
that's where it starts. But all of their all of their silt and everything comes downstream and ends up in Lake Elkhorn. So, it's all connected, and then it goes from there to wherever, to the little Patuxent eventually in the Chesapeake Bay. So they're kind of bigger, I would say there are bigger fish out there, as it were, to worry about when it comes to what happens with our lakes. But we are not trying to tackle this alone. So it would be, or the opportunity is to not be tackling it where CA with our lean resources have to go out and handle this all on our own, is the potential for that.
Actually, Allview gets the runoff.
Yeah.
Allview, when I represented Allview, they were very upset when Lake Elkhorn was built because they saw it as a cannon shooting at Allview, Arrowhead, Donley, the 600 homes there, and causing a problem in the Patuxent. And Carlinda was getting flooded. Then suddenly they just saw it as an attack. Literally, they saw it as a cannon coming off the falls there, going under and hitting their streets. So
just to say, we all have to work together.
It's always
we all have to work together.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to get this, but it would be in January, I'm hoping, because you guys aren't meeting again. So, but I would coordinate with Jonathan and Sandy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. There was something else you said. I'm trying to. The rental apartments, yes, but I think we've all heard that Howard Hughes' feeling was that the market is only for rental. That's what people want, especially younger people. They don't want to own a condo, so that's the reason you had, what is it, Metropolitan 10 flats. But if you guys have not been in these buildings, take a look at the gyms. They are not little hole in the wall gyms. Go in and take a look, and then you have the swimming pools, the community room. So it's the same. Evergreen has the same thing. I've been through there. It's very nice. But you're right, there are other developments there, but for the most part, a lot of them, even the old ones like Evergreen, have their own facilities. So in other words, the population to draw on for a gym downtown. The difference is the Haven, and I know there's some of you don't like the Haven, but the Haven was different. That was not a gym. So if you're going to look at if there was any way of competing, do you do something different? It wasn't handled well, etc. But that was something different. And that would, the gym would not get people out of their apartments to when they have a beautiful gym. Really nice. Seriously, take a look at some of these.
But not a facility like they had at the Haven.
If it's something different.
That's what I said. None of the apartment buildings have a facility comparable to the Haven.
Well, no, and they never would. If you talk about investing in a business and what is competitive, or what is something different, clearly, that was something different. So at any rate.
Have you guys been to the Pearl
No.
since they reopened?
No.
I want to, because I'm really trying to really understand better how much square footage they have versus what we're still paying or you're still paying for. They're saving CA some money, but it's also how much have they gone over that hallway there and over into the quote Haven area. But I hope I understand they're succeeding, and I think it's thank God they've taken a lot of the burden, quite a significant burden, off CA by paying rent, etc.
It's beautiful. They've redone stuff. I mean, the Haven was nice, and now it feels like a spa. It's amazing.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, because I have been sad to have given up my membership at the Haven. So I'll check it out.
Definitely. You just missed the open house last weekend. You could have gone. But
Oh, no. I didn't know about it. Well, I'm gonna go over there because we got more time next week. I'm gonna go over and just walk through it. I've been meaning to do that. Okay, I'm sorry, we're taking more time, Jonathan. Anything else? Okay, thank you, guys. Happy
All right.
holidays, everybody.
Thank you, Ginny. Sandy?
There's really not a lot. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate for our courtyard lights, and it's not looking great for the weekend, but we're gonna wait and see. The thing is, it's all electrical, and so electricity and rain and wires are not a good mix. So if it's wet and raining, we might just have to postpone it till next year. There is not an option to bring it in because of COVID. The option was to have it outside. So hopefully we'll get to have it, but if not, we'll do it again. So the office is closed the week between Christmas and New Year's. So I'm available by email, but I'm really not working. But if anyone needs me, I will be in town, but pretty busy that week. So actually I'm not available, but I'll somehow check emails, but everyone else is off that week. And that's it.
In other words, unless you see a barn burning at the village center, don't bother her.
Well, I'm having a grandchild that week. I'm going to be,
I know.
I'm going to be busy.
Share the good news. I know what you're dancing around here.
Yeah, I'm having, my daughter's having her second baby on the 27th, and we will be staying and watching baby number 2 or big boy number 2 for a week. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Wonderful.
So that's how I'll be spending my holiday week, which is exciting.
Hey, that's a great way to spend it.
It is. It is. Really, it's been quiet. Everyone's getting a lot done because, there's not a lot of traffic, which is good. And I will tell you that unlike many places we go, the other barn staff and visitors during the day are all masked. We are masked with each other. We're taking it very seriously at the other barn. Whether we're all boosted or not, we are remaining masked. So that's what's going on. Everything's in good shape.
All right. Thanks, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn, after the last architecture meeting, I'm almost afraid to call on you, but is there anything else architecture you need to share tonight?
Nothing else. I've been kind of the past couple of weeks, kind of getting ready for this appeal, which has been tabled. So you'll get emails from Mike and from Sandy and from me when it's rescheduled. So, and thank you for everyone for showing up at 6:30 tonight, even though it was had to be aborted or tabled, not aborted.
Tabled.
We'll try it again. Is this something we're going to try to squeeze in before the holidays? Any idea yet? Or okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's something that it's not an urgent. Like if they're not moving, they don't need a quick letter of compliance. It's something that's there. It'll sadly still be there.
Yeah.
And probably as soon early in January as we can get it done, we'll try to.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, then we're going to go on to bulletin board, and then remember we need to stick around for a closed session. So after bulletin board, don't run off. I'm not going to adjourn the meeting because we'll actually need a motion to go into closed session, and then we'll have the closed session. Then we'll come out of closed session, we'll announce the results of the closed session, and then we'll adjourn and say goodnight to each other. But let's cover the bulletin board first in case folks aren't interested in, not board members, but folks in the audience aren't interested in sticking around in the waiting room during the closed session just to wait for us to come out and adjourn. So Amy, anything from the office?
No, I don't think so. Not this time.
All right. Sandy?
No, not that I haven't said.
Okay. Ginny?
Just happy holidays, everybody.
All right. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Warren?
Yeah, I went by Thunder Hill and looks like I saw a coming soon sign for the Bamyan Hala meat market convenience store.
Yes, they got approval for their other sign, which will replace Taji's. I don't think that's up yet. And he actually came in and showed me this temporary sign and said, can I put it up coming soon? So he's been very nice to want to make sure he doesn't do anything that he shouldn't do. At the same time, they're gonna make the owners of the shopping center will be making hopefully some improvements to what it looks like now.
Very nice. Do you know how to pronounce it? I just saw it.
Is it Bayam?
It's Bamyan.
Bamyan.
And it's
Yeah.
halal.
It's
Yeah.
halal.
Wait,
And
you
it'll
did-
be a grocery store.
It's meat and convenience store.
Yeah,
Convenience store.
yeah. Really nice guy. Safa?
Sorry, can I just say with this new market, Oakland Mills Village Center is really going to take all my money. I've already been to new NYC Pizza twice in the last week.
Good, good,
so
good.
This is exciting. Sorry.
It is,
That's all.
and he really nice guy. So, I hope he really does well.
And I
Yeah,
have
and
one.
this is up in Thunderhill at the neighborhood center next to the pool. So now
Right.
you have to
Taji's
travel the whole north-south distance of Oakland Mills and stop everywhere.
Literally, I go to Dunkin' every morning, and that's already taken a hit on my bank account. So
Good for you.
The pizza guys are not happy about it though. I don't know if you've talked to them.
Well,
Lauren.
the pizza guys have the same landlord who leased the market, so it's kind of between them.
Yeah, they tell me, I go there every Friday and they tell me every Friday
Well, they like
how
it.
unhappy they are about this new market.
Why? Why?
They're afraid well, first of all, they're unhappy with the landlord not taking care of them. And then the landlord signed this new tenant without talking to them, and they're afraid that it's going to step on their toes because they sell subs and cold cuts and stuff like that. So they're afraid that the new tenant's going to take away that business. Is what I understand.
It could be worse. They could be in a shopping center with 3 other pizza places.
Right, really. They should feel lucky they're the only pizza place.
I did have one other thing, and that is next week we have a scheduled public space committee meeting, and due to lack of interest, we won't be holding that. So close
Okay,
Oh, we were
to
going to Sapwood.
If we get an e-news out, we'll put it
want
in.
to
there.
go. Yeah.
We'll put
What's that?
it in e-news.
Put
Okay.
it in the e-news.
When did you schedule it? Christmas Eve or what?
No,
It's next Tuesday.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
All right. Thank you, Warren. Rena,
Nothing other than happy holidays to
Happy
everyone.
holidays.
happy holidays to you. Rebecca?
Nope, I think I've talked enough.
Okay. Lynn?
Nothing more.
Okay. Bill?
Yes, just Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year.
Right.
Happy.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
Yes.
Bill. Sam, did I call you?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I don't think. Well, no, but I've said it all.
Okay, I lost track. The order of the pictures changed again. All right, so obviously, in addition to happy holidays, the only other thing I have is I know probably a couple of months ago, we had talked about revisiting virtual versus in-person meetings after the holidays. In light of a new variant and the numbers in Howard County now going up again, we are going to exit the holidays in our virtual posture for these meetings for the time being, and then we'll continue to keep track of things. But unfortunately, the way things are trending, I fear that January will not be the time to say, let's all gather in a small room, on the first floor of the other barn. It's just, we seem to be functioning fine this way. I know some of you have a preference for in person, but for right now, let's just be better safe than sorry. And then we'll track the numbers again and track the boosters and variants and all that fun stuff.
Good.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
Okay, we do need a closed session to discuss personnel matters. So I am going to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel matters. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, I saw Bill's hand go up first, so I'm going to count Bill. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 0. Okay, hang on 1 second. I just need to record this. So the motion was at 8:17. On motion, Bill seconds, 6, 0, 0, 0. Okay. So we are now going to go into closed session.
I'm going to stop the recording.
Yes, but don't stop it yet because I have to explain what I'm doing in open meeting and then we'll stop the recording.
Okay.
So since it's a virtual meeting, I am going to place everyone who is not on the board and not our village manager into the waiting room. You're welcome to stay in the waiting room until we come out of closed session. Amy, please state so that you can record the end of the meeting, but for everyone else,
Oh, I can do it for her.
Oh, can you do it? Okay, okay.
You just
Then
let me
Amy-
know because I'll be in the waiting room at that point.
Okay, no, you're not. Because you're going to be part of this discussion and then we'll move you to the waiting room for the second
Right.
half of the discussion.
Right, but then I'll
Yeah,
come back. Yeah.
Right, right.
Amy, you don't
But-
need to.
But for everyone else, I'm going to move you to the waiting room now. You're welcome to wait in the waiting room so you can hear the outcome of the closed session when we open up. If not, I wish you good night and happy holidays. There will not be a meeting 2 weeks from now, so we will meet again the second Tuesday in January. So I'm going to stop the recording or actually pause. All right. So we came out of the closed session at 8:52 and resumed recording. The purpose of our closed session again was to discuss personnel matters. The outcome of the closed session was that the board discussed and voted on staff bonuses as well as the village manager's performance appraisal. And with that, we can close the open session. So I wish everyone the happiest of holidays and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Take care. We'll see you.
Bye, everybody. Sorry.
Happy and safe holidays.
Bye.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Okay.